Good evening and welcome to the Cleveland Community Police Commission's meeting for Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. We're at our CPC offices at 3631 Perkins Avenue. We're going to begin with calling the meeting to order. We're going to do the roll call of the attendance. Do you have a pen? Okay. Co-Chair Adams,
Present.
Commissioner Benito,
Present.
Commissioner Chura,
Present.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Present.
Commissioner Early,
Present.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson, I believe, is on her way. Commissioner Kennedy,
Present.
Commissioner Reeves,
Present.
Commissioner Ridgway is still on leave. Commissioner Rodriguez is on her way. Commissioner Van Leer,
Present.
Commissioner Wong,
Present.
okay, and I, Commissioner Zayed, I am here.
Should keep it to call the votes.
Sorry.
And keep it to call the votes later. So you have a list.
We could probably keep them separate. Well, yeah, I could just have it.
So you can just keep that.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move forward with the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes, or is everybody okay with the agenda? Are we going to make any changes?
I sent out a motion a new motion, that I don't think there's anything new business, to extend Mr. Wallach's contract, the independent counsel, because we have received a opinion from him on May 28th regarding our records and also regarding certain conflicts of interest that we may have with the city. And I was away on vacation. I was surprised that no commission action was taken, so that is the motion that I'm putting forward. We shall try to avoid breaking privilege on that, but I hope that everybody has read that opinion, and it's been since May 28th. So I liked that motion, and I think I saw a motion to release.
I'm sorry, what is the name of the motion with Wallace? This is the one? Okay,
It's just to say he gets this additional work,
okay.
because we don't have resolution on the records at this point, and we also have some issues with, and we could go into executive session if need be. We have some outstanding issues. Even I know that some records may be coming, but it doesn't solve the long-term issue about why it's taking so long, because we have like record requests outstanding from 1 year ago. That's certainly not sustainable for the commission.
Okay, well, let's just move forward with, so you're putting forth this, you want to add this, you want to put forth a motion to add this to the agenda?
Yeah, I sent it out. I'm sorry, I didn't, because I was looking at the other items that are also very important, so I didn't finish that. I didn't send out that motion, so if you put
Okay, is
under.
there a second for her motion to add this to the agenda?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion or debate? You can say all that stuff now if you want.
Yeah, it's just a motion it's pretty short. I mean, it has a lot of whereas clauses to it, but we don't have any really firm legal understanding other than the negotiations that you guys are having through the DOJ. And as you know, Jason has mentioned before, we are bound by the charter, so it would be good to proceed based on an understanding of the charter. And he also issued a legal opinion on May 28th. I don't recall that any action has been taken by the commission, right, on that opinion. So I think we need to move forward with that, because this could be a long-standing issue.
Okay, let's call the vote for that.
Where is it being added on the agenda?
New business. Okay, Co-Chair Adams,
Aye.
Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Aye.
Commissioner Early,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
and I vote yes. So that passes. So that will be added to that motion will be added to new business. Are there, it's okay.
Sorry. I also saw another motion that Co-Chair Adams sent out about releasing a legal opinion. I actually don't think that's necessary, because it wasn't given to the commission, it was given to me. But if you're going to make that motion, I haven't written it out, but I'm making a motion for Mr. Wallach to issue another independent opinion based on the issue that Mr. Griffin has issued his opinion.
But during this meeting right now?
Well, he sent out a motion, didn't he? John?
Yeah.
Yeah, he sent out a motion for it. Did you not see it?
Right, but, so, okay, so you're asking that Mr.
Well, Mr. Griffin's motion, which I don't think is under privilege because he gave to me, not the commission, it was not an officially sanctioned, I don't know, Martin, so please, if privilege matters there. But if the commission is going to take into account a non-solicited, unofficial opinion by Mr. Griffin, I think that the commission can get an independent opinion from Mr. Wallach.
But we're
Especially,
talking about the agenda right now.
yeah, so he has a motion that he sent out.
So what she wants is to put a motion on the table to
Add the
get an
other-
outside opinion from Mark Wallach on the issue for the,
My removal from committees.
right. So she
Because
wants
She
she's
to,
wants that,
playing-
you want
yeah.
that
she wants to
motion.
get an outside opinion. from
Okay,
Mark Wallach.
does anyone second that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion or debate?
I can provide my reasoning. In the co-chair's recent letter to the mayor, they allege that, and it's not, I don't want to put words into Mr. Griffin's mouth because he's never said it to me, that I have harassed him. So if he is in such an adverse position from me, I don't think that he could be issuing legal opinions that affect my standing on the commission. I also have real concerns about whether the city law department is in an overall conflict with us, a wider conflict, and that was articulated in some regard in that May 28th opinion by Mr. Wallach. So I think, given the fact that the stakes are high, we are arguing about these things, that we can get our independent attorney, just to be safe, our outside counsel, to issue his opinion on whether what happened with my removal was lawful. The other issue I saw is that I don't think it answered my question. My question was, under basically, without a fair disciplinary process, what can a commissioner be removed or their disciplinary action? He didn't seem to answer that question with Mr. Griffin to address that question. So I think we really should just get to the heart of the matter, because this could be something that affects other commissioners. Now, we do have a disciplinary process. We can argue about whether it is going to be enacted fairly or not. However, so I just think that, if, given the fact that there's some tenuous parts of whether we are in an overall conflict, we're already in conflict with the city on the ED appointment. We're already in conflict with the city on the records. There is some concern I have for Mr. Bilat, that he says that he's not able to issue, an independent opinion. I think, to be safe, I've never known lawyers to carve out parts of themselves. When you're in conflict about one thing, you're probably in conflict about other things. And especially if it's being alleged that I harassed Mr. Griffin, I hardly think
Okay,
it is
well,
in a
we're not
place.
we're not debating that, we're just
Right, so
trying
that's
put
why I
this
want to
the-
put it on there.
Okay, so we're
to
gonna
give
move
you-
forward with the vote to add a motion to get outside opinion on Mark Griffin's opinion regarding the removal of Commissioner Wrong from committees.
Can you repeat the motion for the newcomers?
Before you go. So, for those who just arrived, the motion on the floor is to seek an outside opinion from our outside attorney, Mark Wallach, on the lawfulness of removing Commissioner Wong from her committees.
To
Yeah.
add it
To add it to the agenda. I'm
agenda.
sorry.
Motion to the
Add it to the agenda.
To the chairs, I kind of feel like, well, we'll see what he says. If it conflicts with what we have now, then we could discuss it further down the road. I mean, I thought it was second. And if he agrees with the first opinion, then the matter's settled.
Question? I'm sorry, I know I just walked in. I just want to clarify. Attorney, Law Director Mark Griffin did originally give us an opinion on whether or not it's lawful for Commissioner Wong to be removed from committees. And so at this point, we're saying, asking for
Well,
a second opinion from
Commissioner
our-
Wong is asking for a second.
For a second opinion. Okay.
To be added to the agenda.
To be added-
To be added to the agenda. The motion to be added to the
Point
agenda.
of order, we should just, it's about adding to the agenda, not making a decision.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to clarify. Thank you.
Do you want to say something, Commissioner Early? Okay. Can we take the vote?
Co-Chair Adams,
Nay.
Commissioner Benito,
Nay.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Aye.
Commissioner Early, Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Nay.
Commissioner Reeves,
Nay.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
I vote aye. It passes 7-5. So that will be added to the agenda.
So we'll put on new business.
Yeah. All righty. So is it okay for us to adopt the agenda now?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
All right. 1 second, please. Yeah. Co-Chair Adams,
Aye.
Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Aye.
Commissioner Early,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
and I vote yes. Okay, so we're going to move forward with the meeting decorum and lawful meeting statement. Is that this?
Is this
No,
me?
no, this will be,
This is rules, right?
Are you going to?
we would need this.
Okay, so, okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so this section is just a quick recap. At our last meeting, coming out of the Rules Committee, we passed out of rules, and at our last full meeting, we passed this motions and decorum, meeting decorum rule. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you should have a copy in front of you. And the Rules Committee wanted to just sort of highlight this, and this is really how we run our meetings. So in the past, we've had, Robert's Rules, which is this huge book. We're attempting to distill in this 4-page document what the rules, how we run our meetings, how you make a motion, seconding the motion, deciding if the motion is in order, debating the motion, and when we can speak, time limits on speaking, and just the decorum of not attacking or defaming or impugning the motives or capabilities of other commissioners, and then appealing decisions if something is out of order, if it's ruled out of order, and how to call a meeting to order and raise points of order. And when a chair may remove a commissioner from the meeting. And finally, just, how this can be changed, and responding to individuals who speak, whether in public comment, basically not responding to people who speak, who are not invited to the meetings or who speak during public comment. So that's just like my very quick recap of that. The main point is that we would like you to pay attention to this and read through it and understand it, so that when we come into the meetings, we've got this as our guidance. Commissioner Donaldson, do you have anything to add to that?
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
You said what? Okay, and I do want to remind each person that each commissioner may speak no more than twice for 3 minutes. Each instance is on that same question, so, just keep that in mind. We're going to move forward to approval of the previous meeting minutes. We could talk about that later.
It's about the question of the decorum rules, because I wasn't here.
What's the question?
So I actually shared this on, I apologize, I was on vacation when this was passed. And I have a concern that some of these rules, and I expressed that concern, are an open violation of the Open Meetings Act. In particular, I do.
I'm sorry, one moment. Was this sent out How was this sent out?
I gave proper notice to, and it was not discussed, and you guys voted it through. I think Ms. Garrett Ferguson and Mr.
Were
Chura.
you able to review this when you came back from vacation?
When you guys discussed it, I had already sent in my comments, but it was voted through anyways. And I believe the only two people that did not vote for it, for the
Well, just
decorum
because we're at the beginning of the meeting and we're just trying to get through that initial process, I would like it if any questions, like any changes that you want to make or any major things.
Well, it's not a change. I can't make the change here because it's a rule, but it's, the concern is,
Well, no,
these are,
any concerns you have, if you can please hold those, send an email to the chair of the rules, and then you guys can
I've-
discuss that offline, because this is not the place for you to discuss major changes or in any issues
I've
that you
already,
have.
so I, thank
So I
you.
appreciate that, we're gonna move forward with
I've already
the-
sent him these
we're-
things.
Okay, we'll
and
talk
we
about that
are-
outside
It's
of.
like a $10,000 violation every time, so
Okay, well, that's
I'm trying
fine,
to
we'll,
save
we'll
the
discuss that
commission.
later. Thank you very much. We're gonna move on to approval of the meeting minutes. So has everyone had a chance to, review those meeting minutes from our last meeting? Okay, all right, so if there isn't any issues with that, we're gonna move forward to adopt those meeting minutes.
There was one correction, but it's just a miscount on one of the votes. It should be 9 and not 19, but that can be dealt with. It's pretty clear that we don't have 19 votes.
Okay,
so.
okay, so we'll acknowledge that that needs to be changed. So let's call, so we're gonna approve the meeting minutes, acknowledging that that vote amount needs to be changed. Co-Chair Adams,
Aye.
Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Aye.
Commissioner Early,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Abstain.
and I vote yes. So that passes. Okay, so we're gonna move forward to our public comment period. First, up is Lou.
Okay,
Well,
I want to say is we have to, part of our decorum is we have to conduct this meeting. So we have to stop with the interruptions from,
Lou, you're up.
the public.
Excuse me, just before, is there any way, and you guys set me up on order, can we add a second public comment if it allows, time allows?
It's already on the.
Oh, it's already on the agenda? Okay, thank you.
We should have time. We gotta stop these people from interrupting.
We didn't have that out there, so I don't know. I'll get more people.
Good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, I have to say, commissioners, you still don't really know your own rules and to conduct the meeting accordingly. Last time, we thought you passed a rule that people should not disturb meetings. But I don't understand why the results are so different. For a particular commissioner sitting on the table which was accused, which was considered as a disruption of the meeting, when the meeting didn't even start, and that meeting couldn't even happen. On the other hand, last time, when I was here making the public comments, just because I mentioned something some people may have opinions with, a particular person in the audience, a community member, actually started screaming, yelling at me, but nobody says anything. So do you really understand your own rules? Do you have the consistency to apply your rules fairly? No, you don't. This is really bad to do in front of everybody. Doesn't matter you have a camera on or not. because this has been a constant situation even before you pass the rules. So now it's a possibility you guys will go to amend that rules in order to make up your mistake. But this is not how it should be. Today, this commission, based on issue 24, you are the final authority to ensure we have a fair disciplinary results on all officers, police officers. If you cannot even do this right, how would we expect all the police officers will be fairly treated when lots of the GPOs have flaws? Same thing. When you make a statement in the meeting, but if it's not true, from a commissioner even doing that, would that be the same as any community members? So if you cannot really do the things you said you should do, then please don't do this job. Because we cannot afford to wasting times. We do need our community to get together to help our police officers to work. They have families to raise as well. If they make a mistake, they have to take the consequence, but when they get unfair punishment, and we know it's one of the important reasons why we have shortage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kayla Pincus? Okay. So we're going to move forward with the co-chair report given by co-chair Adams.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I guess we'll start with where we currently are. We just got notice today that we will be going to council on August 7th to hopefully get legislation passed to approve United Black Fund to do our grants for this cycle, and also for the legislative motion that we passed to give ourselves the authority to be treated like a city entity that will allow us a little bit more authority to do more things. The other thing I just want to mention is that we did meet with the monitoring team on Monday, and we're still pushing for records. The issue right now is that, it's the same reasons about the volume of the records that we're requesting. So right now, we have not changed the records request, but we're pushing for access to the records directly so that we don't have to continue to have this back and forth about the records. But the unresolved issue is still with the full disciplinary files. So that's where we still stand with that, and we're still working with the DOJ on that. We also learned that there will be a status update about the records on August 2nd, and also that we should expect the semi-annual report somewhere around September 25th. And the last thing I think I want to say about those meetings is that in the meetings, there was a question about if the redactions for the records are hindering any of our ability to do our work. So what the DOJ requested in the monitor, they would like commissioners to notify them if we run into any issues with redactions with records. So I'll leave it there. Commissioner Wong?
So I guess I'm concerned, how will we know what we're missing if it's redacted
It
already?
didn't say what we're missing. What they're saying is some of the records, the records that we have they have redactions. So they want to know if that is a barrier for us in any type of way. So if you're reading a record and something's redacted and it feels like it may be important to whatever you need to know, they want to know instances like that so that they can address it.
I guess my question is the same, is that how do we know exactly what is redacted? And I thought that we were supposed to get unredacted records according to the charter. I know there's been some concern about the leads and LERMs and things like that. So if redactions are there, and obviously it takes time to redact, I think the only kind of personal information would be, addresses and things like that. So I am just still concerned as to what the nature of the, would they be able to at least have, if they redact, to tell us generally what is in there in that redaction? 'Cause
There is a
it's-
conversation that is happening about us getting unredacted records. So I don't want you to think that we are just settling for the redactions. There are conversations happening about sort of like what needs to be done to make, what needs to happen in order for us to get the unredacted records that we should get. I mean, I think, I'll just be honest, I have some concerns that I would like to be sort of discussed and figured out and to help us get there. I think there's some serious conversations that need to happen.
So we'll acknowledge your concerns and add those to the
Yeah.
list of things we discussed in our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I make a request that, we're getting the broad, and we trust that you're in these meetings advocating for us. We're getting a very broad view of what these issues are. I've requested it before, would it be possible to get at least some type of specific summary about what the specific issues are, the specific arguments for the city's perspective? So especially because, and this will be related to Mr. Wallach's motion, we don't have our own counsel in these meetings. Mr. Duran is not able to represent our interests, the DOJ is not able to represent our interests, and the federal monitor is not. So it would just be very helpful if we can have more specific information, maybe because of many of these other commissioners, especially Commissioner Chura, have actually seen full disciplinary files. I think I've seen one. It requires kind of knowledge of what's in the full file to know how the impact, deleterious or not, of the redaction. So if you can give us some specific information, we trust that you are making, progress. We do understand that there is resistance that is out of your control, but it would be good if we all participate in this because we all have a stake in getting these records because it impacts all of our work.
Point taken. Commissioner Garrett Ferguson?
I guess I kind of have two questions. One was just, is there a time for the August 2nd meeting?
I did not write a time down, so I don't know if we got a time for it. I didn't.
Okay.
It's not in my records, but
It's not a public meeting. It's between the parties and the judge. So they have to give an update on the records to the judge on that date, but it's not
Does that
to
mean
my
that-
knowledge, it's not a public hearing.
Does that mean that the CPC cannot be present?
That's correct. We
We're
will
not
not be
parties.
present.
Okay.
They do these all the time. They have to give updates to the judge.
Gotcha.
And normally because we're not a party, we're not given notice to appear.
Okay, and I guess my second question about the record, because it seems to be like a more controversial issue and we've had to get outside counsel, is there any way when you guys are having these meetings, full commission can be notified and some of us will be allowed to attend? I know I know it is
which meeting?
more of our custom, like when you guys are meeting just specifically about the records. Is there a way to make, because I know you guys have your own executive meetings that we are not a part of, but just because the full commission has voted to have outside counsel and the records just seem to be a very contentious time, and most of us are busy anyway, so probably only be an extra 2 or 3 commissioners. But is it too much to ask that if it's on your agenda to speak about that, maybe you let the full commission know and we would have the option to attend those meetings, even if it's only for that portion. So it's we're talking, I don't know, stop it, August 15th, 2 o'clock. For 15 minutes, we'll talk about records. You say outside, we'll come get you.
I'll
Is there
say
any
this,
way
I'll
for
say
that?
this, it's not our meeting. So we
Okay.
can request, that other commissioners attend, but we can't say, give you okay to the invite for a meeting that's not ours.
The meetings about the records are not ours?
It's between the parties and they let us attend. So,
Even though we put the lawsuit forward? I'm just trying to understand. So it's not,
it's not our meeting
okay.
to invite anyone. But we can make the request to see if additional commissioners can attend if they want.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify because I had a conversation briefly with Dr. Anderson, and she was under the impression that Jason was in control, which didn't make any sense of those meetings. So it's because it's a consent decree related, and we're not party to the consent decree, so it's by invitation. Would it be possible, because I requested this for Mr. Chur and I, at not every single meeting, and certainly Mr. Wallach should be there, that how would we petition the various parties to allow this to happen? I'm assuming that we contact them.
We'll ask the
according to-
question and let you know. Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, so we're going to move forward with the executive director. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing. I would like to, I sent this yesterday to everyone, but what I would like to do is bring this motion forward to waive attorney-client privilege on an opinion that we received from a law director. Now, if this motion is seconded and it is open up for discussion, I want to caution commissioners that it is important that what we are discussing is not the actual contents of the letter, because that would be basically releasing the letter without us actually voting on it. So we need to decide if we agree that this is a matter of public concern, and then we should discuss how we release the letter. But we should refrain from discussing the actual contents of it, because that would be just releasing it. So we want to try to set a precedent where, with some matters like this, that we move with the full support of the full commission, and not make just arbitrary decisions, unilateral decisions as co-chairs. So I'm putting the motion on the floor to waive that attorney-client privilege. The motion is very simple. It just says the Cleveland Community Police Commission is in an attorney-client relationship with the City of Cleveland's Department of Law. On July 12, 2024, the CPC received an opinion from Law Director Mark Griffin that is privileged. This motion is to waive attorney-client privilege for this memo only. Do we have a second?
Is there a second? Okay, there's a second. Any discussion or?
So, thank you. I think my question is, especially that there may be a potential motion about Attorney Wallach stating an opinion, will we post that opinion as well, or?
We would have to
make
decide
it
at that
fair?
time if we want
Okay.
to.
I mean, my thoughts would be that if that motion passes, then it would be the right thing to do would be to also release that
Yeah.
one as well.
With a vote, okay. And would this be, so depending on how that goes, could this be potentially looking at as any kind of risk for slander or anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Commissioner Benito? Did you have anything? Okay. Commissioner Wong?
Okay, I'm going to try to address the technical matters without talking about the content. This motion, I think, is unnecessary because the opinion that Mr. Griffin gave was given directly to me. It was not voted upon as a commission that we would seek this opinion. I was asking his opinion. I was surprised that he gave it, and he was very careful to say that it was addressed to me in response to me. So, saying that, I don't mind that the contents are released, primarily because I don't even think it addresses the issue, and as long as, but I do want, and if it's not contingent or not, it would be a shame if this was released and then Mr. Wallach is not even allowed to issue another opinion that focuses on, I think, the salient question. I asked Mr. Griffin a broad question, but I think he understood what the important facts were. So I don't know, Martin, if an opinion is requested by a commissioner, not the commission, to Law Director Griffin, is privileged still, because I'm not only the commission is the client of technically of the law department. We can have our disagreements about the conflict of interest. Is there a privilege issue there? I would just like to ask. So there's no privilege.
No, there's a privilege issue, but there's the client is the commission. He represents the commission. You are a member of the commission. So when he issued his opinion, he was not giving his opinion on behalf of Terry Wong.
But
He's
he's-
giving his opinion on behalf of the commission.
But he said it was in response to my request. Did he not?
I have nothing else to say.
So that is the issue, is that I don't think it was even an official, because we never
Okay,
voted
well,
as a
I'll just say,
commission.
we hear your concern.
So it's
Let's
not an
move-
official opinion of the commission. I want to, like, requested by the commission. We never voted for, as we are with Mr. Wallach's opinion that we're seeking. So there was no motion at all to seek this opinion. I just asked him in an email, and he specifically said in the email that I am answering you, Commissioner Wong. You can release it because I don't even think it addresses our issues, but I'm asking the commission, to be fair, that we actually do get, and Mr. Griffin can also respond to Mr. Wallach's opinion. I think it's only fair. But to characterize this as an official opinion that is somehow privileged, my concern is I have severe concerns that Mr. Griffin can even issue the opinion that he is not in a direct adverse conflict with the commission. So, but I don't think there's any privilege issues because it was given to me. So I'm the only one that probably could like break the privilege, and I'm fine releasing it. I don't think it actually answers the question at all, but you can release it. So, but I think that we're not even getting, because Mr. Belak is not willing to answer the question.
Mr. Diego?
I would just like to clarify that we don't need to get motions to request legal advice from Martin or from other members of the law department. We do need vote in order to engage with outside counsel. And so I just wanted to clarify that. So just because we didn't make a full commission vote on asking for a question on a legal issue doesn't mean like that's not what we do for internal legal opinions.
No, I'm sorry, we have,
But were you gonna say something? Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Yes, so it is my understanding that the opinion on the censure motion that was asked to conduct it, that was asked by Commissioner Wong. Did the full commission pay for that opinion? Like, I know we have been, well, yeah, but I mean, for that, was that included in the payment that?
we don't pay this.
Yes, that's, so,
We don't pay the law department.
I know, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to clarify. The law department pays Mr. Wallach on our behalf, correct, when we have a conflict? I know in the past, like when we talked about like the records and other things, we had to make a motion because we had to like agree to a certain amount of hours in which he worked. Was the question in which Commissioner Wong asked and him providing that opinion, was that included in those hours that we voted upon?
We would have to vote that in.
We don't have to vote for Mark Griffin to give us an opinion.
Okay, okay.
Wallach is the outside
right now,
attorney.
I think
Griffin is the law
Yes.
director for the city.
Yes, and so for him to give
They're
that, there was
different.
no,
No.
he just gave it to
Yeah.
us
Yeah,
because.
it's not the same process.
Okay, because Commissioner Wong asked.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Commissioner Early.
Quick question, just so I'm clear. The motion right now is to waive the attorney-client privilege. If we do that, are we able to pass a motion that accepts the opinion of the law director? I just want to make sure the two don't conflict.
I don't think we're making, well, at least I can just speak for what I was thinking with this is, I don't think we're making any type of declaration of whether we support the opinion or not. I just think we just want, due to the nature of it and these public statements that have been made about our actions to remove Commissioner Wong off her committees, I thought it was in the best interest for clarification for the public and for all parties involved to just see what the legal opinion is.
And then lastly, for the sake of time, could we table this so that we could get to the voting matters at hand?
What do you want to do?
And if I need to make a motion to do that, I will.
Okay, just let, or we can just call for the
Yeah,
vote.
we could just call the vote. Okay, Commissioner Adams,
Aye.
Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Early? Commissioner Garrett Ferguson?
Abstain.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
No.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong?
Aye.
And I vote yes, so that passes.
So for the public, that statement will be posted on our website. Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to the executive director report.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the public. It's good to see some familiar faces and some new faces with us tonight. I'll keep this as quick as I can. Related to budget and staffing. Starting with vacant positions, we have 2 accepted offers to fill the community engagement coordinator position and the senior engagement specialist, which handles our online media communications. So we will have both of those individuals onboarded either at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, which means that the public will have an opportunity and the commission will have an opportunity to see them at the next full commission meeting, if not beforehand for commissioners and maybe at some committee meetings in between, but we will do their formal introductions to the public at our August commission meeting. In relating to the plan that the commission voted to move forward to amplify staffing, the city's initial response to our request to use unspent personnel funding for 2 additional part-time employees to assist in community engagement, their answer was no. I'm trying to work through that issue at the moment with the co-chairs to see what our options are for that. But they are, what their response was is, we're not allowing you to use personnel money, which this is every other department that has seasonal part-time help uses personnel money. But for us, they are saying you must use your contractor money. Our contractor money is already reserved for other projects that were part of that proposal to help us move forward to our consent decree goals. So we are, in that plan, the idea was to use unspent personnel funds for a reason, because we were maximizing our operational funding, which is everything else, including consultants, to get our work done as quickly as possible under the consent decree. So there's no room to do it the way that they're suggesting. So I will keep you updated on what we're looking at, the co-chairs and I are looking at what our options are here to contest that ruling and working with Martin as well. I will keep you posted on the status of that, but we're not giving up just because they initially said no to that. We had a conversation with the monitor. We believe, we can't speak for the monitor, but we believe it was well received, and that everyone in the room was in agreement that one way we can really move the consent decree forward is adding personnel, especially in engaging directly with the community. We are the Community Police Commission, so we'll keep moving the best we can to try and get that to happen for us. Records request.
One second, Jason Kyle has something.
To the executive director, when you say that the decision was made, can you identify the department?
Yes,
who
it's
the final-
finance again. It's always finance.
But when you say finance, can you name the names of those individuals?
In
for
this
the
one,
record?
no, I can't. We have a liaison, but that liaison probably wasn't the decision maker. So it goes to either Ahmed, who recently separated, he was the director of finance, or Jim Gentile, who is the controller. And he generally makes master decisions about all money in the city and its expenditure to make sure the books are balanced. So.
I guess I'm just trying to understand. So the personnel line item is, in fact, for personnel?
Correct.
So is finance saying that that line item budget is only for full-time personnel instead of part-time or contract personnel? 'Cause I'm just trying to understand.
They did not say that. They just said we can't use our unspent funds for part-time personnel. But they did not provide what would be a policy justification, saying here's why you can't do it, right? Look at the policy, it prohibits it, right? 115.5 says finance can deny us if it's an unlawful or an unreasonable request. I don't believe we've made either of those. So, you know, this may be an issue of, we've had this happen several times now where finance may be overstepping their power to deny us using funds that have been appropriated to us by council, right? So I'll keep you posted, but I think we have a good chance to make this happen. We just need to reassess how we leverage the answer and who we need to speak to get that undone. The landscape may have changed since the finance director separated, because I think a lot of times it went back to that person making personal decisions that are not justified under the law, right? But now that we have seen that since that person has separated, we unblocked at least one issue we had, which was the United Black Fund contract, right? That person had originally said no once they separated. Now it's moving the way it's supposed to move under the law. So we're gonna reapproach this with the idea that we can still make this happen. So.
Are we aware of any policy rule that the finance department, the city charter has, not just 115, but just anywhere, that says that you cannot use budgeted personnel money for part-time employees?
No.
Okay.
And then just for clarification through the chairs to the executive director, in our budget, is contractors separate from personnel? Because in most budgets, they would be the
yes,
same.
so that goes under your operational fees. So you have two large pots. You get allocated your personnel money, and you get allocated your operational budget. Contractors, anyone you bring in as consultants, that comes out of operational for outside consulting. It's actually a line item in there, outside professional services. So, and we have a very limited amount there. We had 30,000. We're going to move some money into that to get these other projects done because we know we'll go well over 30,000. So, but we can't move personnel money into operations or operations into personnel. That's the one prohibition that exists. So, and we have ample personnel money to make this happen. So we just need to figure out what the source of the disagreement is, and see how, if we can come up with the best way to take that argument off the table.
Would it be possible to get, instead of just discussing this kind of ad hoc, is there any documentation that you can give the rest of us so we can understand exactly what's going on? And is Martin, I'm assuming Martin is engaged on this issue?
Not really, not yet.
So to Ms. Garrett Ferguson's point, are we getting a legal assessment rather than simply negotiating kind of politically? It may be, because it seems like, I think I remember maybe in February, if we can look back on that meeting for budget and grants, that Delonte Spencer Thomas, I think, said something to my memory that's a little bit different. But it seems like we don't have things like documented legally, and it seems like this problem happens again and again. The last time it was, we can't use this money for our independent lawyer, now it's for this. If we can just get maybe a legal opinion and put everybody on the same page, Martin, I mean, are you able to research it? Whether what they're saying that there's no law, like, is there legal validity to what they're doing? Let's just cut to the chase, and and say, hey, we don't believe that. So,
and to the chair, in respect for time, like I've given the update on this, right? So Martin and I did have a preliminary conversation about it. We're working out what angles we can attack it legally. He has to let me know if he believes he can work on this. If not, I will let you know, and we will seek outside counsel on it. But yes, it has reached a point where I agree that we do need the question of when can they block using the purse from us carrying out our duties under 115.5, right? I think it's pretty clear. If it's unlawful or unreasonable, it's in 115.5 already, right? So, and I don't think either of these reasons they've used to stop us are those things. But we'll see how it plays out. So, out of respect for time, I am working the problem, and I will give you updates. And to commissioners who have additional questions about it, feel free to sidebar with me. But But right now, I don't think we're going to solve this problem at this table in this moment. We have good people working on it, and I think we'll get there. On the record stuff, you know, there's a lot of information put out there. I just want to say, out of all of our requests, there's only 2 that haven't been responded to yet, right? That is the large request for high volumes of disciplinary records, right, which they have partially responded to. So they're giving you information related to what might be in those, but they have yet to produce the whole record. And then the second part of that, the only other missing outstanding request is the most recent one from the, I think it was the 7th of June, right before the cyber outage. We asked for additional information on an OPS case that we were asked to look at by a citizen. So that is our second open case for this year, dealing with a complainant, Nancy Lane, who you have heard speak at meetings before. She asked us to request for records. So other than that, they have provided all records. And the DOJ and the monitor and the judge have already given the city an order to comply. So the records are moving forward, albeit not at the way that we want them to be produced. But there's attorneys working it on the DOJ and the monitor, and they've already said you're out of compliance with the consent decree. You must move these records forward. So they're working on it. What our fight has been is why can't we just have direct access to that? To the point of unredacted records, we should know by next week how that's going to work, right? So the concern with unredacted records is mitigating risk to every one of you. If you remember, you were sent an email with a bunch of things and a little warning at the bottom at one point related to the commander meeting saying, you're receiving unredacted records, don't misplace these, don't send them, don't forward them. I'm not comfortable with putting you all at risk, right? We have more than enough technology to share unredacted records without you having to worry about, did this get downloaded off my phone, did someone get into it, and then you all being held liable for that, right? So what we're negotiating now is how do those records get delivered, and what is the accountability for those records, right? So that we can see who looked at them, when they looked at them, and most likely they would be read-only. So you can access them, you could look at them, right? But what we're worried about is accountability. What I wouldn't like to see is commissioners leaving them on their personal computers, downloading them on their personal computers. Somebody claims damages against you because they believe information that got out, and then you're liable. So what I'm trying to do as your executive director is build a system to help protect you, so that you can look at these records when you need to look at them, but also that you don't have to worry about, oh, did I leave that on my personal computer where it shouldn't be? Did somebody get eyes on it? Or if your stuff gets infiltrated or hacked, people get access to records that they shouldn't see, and then you could be held liable. So we're doing 2 things. We're setting up the system, and then you'll get waivers to be able to say, I recognize that I'm getting access to unredacted information, right? But no one's resisting that. In fact, we just found out they want to move that forward faster. So it is moving forward in a positive way, but trust that we want to make sure you're all protected and you have limited risk and liability to yourselves having access to these records.
Thank you. We're going to move forward to the committee status reports.
I just had a quick question. Not to correct the record, there are more outstanding records requests missing for the OPS files. There's some emails I've requested, and we do not still have the lawsuits. Do we ever get that? That were threatened? That's a charter, man. Whatever lawsuit is threatened or put forward for officers.
So that to your point, yes, you have made some additional requests.
No, you made that request yourself.
Right. That request is not a records request. So that's a request for information on a timely manner. So that one is being managed on a different track than this records request. So we didn't request specific documents there. What we requested was what the charter says. So that is on a different track.
What does that mean?
With the law department. I can explain it to you in the in email if you like, but that was not a request for any specific record. What that request was to sit down with the law department and determine how we will get those updates monthly, right? They're supposed to provide us, it's not a record per se, they're supposed to provide us information about any lawsuits that have been settled, pending, accused, notified of, right? So that is not dealing with, well, this has 22 records. That is dealing with a communication process between the law department and the commission and how that's going to work. So there were no producible documents per se with that request. So that was tabled outside of this tracker with the court. Because we're not asking for any specific documents. We're asking for information updates on pending lawsuits, and what is going on. That is not a document request. That's a request for information sharing. It's a little bit different.
Could you comment on the OPS records? Do you know they're on the sheet? You didn't mention them. They're not full disciplinary files. They're for the departures of the chief from 2023 and 2023. That was made, I believe, nearly a year ago.
Yeah, the departure for the chief is not on that list, so I don't know where this request is that you're referring to, but it is not on the tracker sheet asking for departures. We actually have all of we actually have all the disposition letters accessible to us that say when it's a departure from the chief on it.
We want the files for the departures, like the case files.
That
for the
request is
departures.
not something that was ever formally made by this entire commission.
Well, that is still on the tracker that was sent to the DOJ. So I realize it was a miscommunication because I made it directly to Marcus and he was putting together the case files for me. I hardly think this was necessary
Well,
for
that was not, that's a different request that you specifically made. That was the one where Hetzel responded. That is a different request. It wasn't for departures. You asked for random case files, the
No,
entire
those were the
case
departures, the case files for the departures. And I'm asking, do we need to remake the request? Or are they considering a valid request? Because I did see it in the tracker for the DOJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna say is I think that why don't we just clarify the request, get the request to Jason the way that you would like it, and then we can move forward with that. But we need to move on to the next item of business.
And so that, sure.
Okay, so I guess a clarification of the request. Is the individual make it, or are you making it on behalf of that committee?
There's a different track for individuals to make requests.
The question is Terry making a request for herself?
Oh, is she making it?
I'm not sure if an individual can request access to this, or if it has to be a committee. So I guess just clarification for me, because the way it sounds is that a specific commissioner is requesting information, right? So I guess for me, understanding, like, is it for the committee, the use, and like, I guess when we I guess I need clarification on the request.
My understanding, well, I made it on behalf, that particular request, on behalf of the Accountability Committee. I see no reason that an individual commissioner cannot make requests to, with or without being attached to the committee. My understanding of the process is that it goes to the co-chairs, and then they forward it to Jason. I'm not sure why there's that there, and Jason makes the formal request. So that's all. I mean, are we now saying that individual commissioners can't make requests? And because I have some concerns about that, because people come to me asking for things that for the commission to look at. So since I'm not on a committee, I don't see how any other reason, any way I can even make the request.
So I just think that's a point of consideration, right? I do understand that a community member may come to you, but I think it would be in the best interest of the commission to really consider the logistics of requests, is what I'm going to say, because I think that could put us at risk.
And I was going to say, individual commissioners can make requests because individual commissioners can work on projects on their own. They can work independently on projects, so that's not a problem. We're going to move forward to the committee status report. First committee is the Rules Committee, and Commissioner Pete Van Leer will give that report as chair.
Yeah, so our item, we have one item tonight to discuss, so I would like to make a motion that we approve the revised evidentiary manual, which passed by us at our last meeting, and we've got revisions.
Is there a second?
So I want to just give a brief summary, if I may.
Okay, and let me just say, during the discussion and the debate, I want just everybody to know that if you aren't, we can discuss it, we can debate it, but if you aren't making small specific edits, then I ask you to hold your comments until after the meeting and send an email to the chair of that committee with large, substantial, considerable changes, because any large, considerable changes cannot be made at this table, and they need to go through committee. And I think that would be a better route than to hold up a lot of time at this table where we can't really do anything. So I just wanted to say that before we move forward. I'm sorry, Pete, go ahead.
Okay, sure. So I just wanted to give a brief summary of the process that got us to this point. So we had a draft a few months ago. I believe in April we were working on a draft, and there was a lot of discussion around how to revise that and how to move forward or create a whole new draft. So we had on May 1st, I believe it was, we had a joint meeting of the Rules and Accountability Committees. And during that meeting, we focused on concerns raised by an outside attorney who was volunteering his time to provide some input, and also a commissioner. And so we had a really thorough discussion about the points that they had raised. So from that meeting, we had an opportunity for one of the commissioners to draft a new document, but then we relied on Mr. Bila to take what had happened at that meeting with some input from committee members, and that draft was discussed by the Rules Committee, I believe in June, at our June meeting, and we approved it and sent it to the full commission, and that's what this group approved at that June meeting. After that vote, Dr. Anderson of the Police Accountability Team and Martin Bilat pulled together an internal working group that included Chris Violin, who's a superintendent of internal affairs with the police, Delante Spencer Thomas with the Law Department, the Police Accountability Team, Marcus Perez of OPS, Office of Professional Standards, and they took a look at the document, and Mr. Bilat incorporated that input into a draft that he sent out yesterday morning. So it's a fairly recent draft, and I apologize for that. But we've all had just not enough time to look at it, perhaps. But there isn't a lot of super substantive changes. We discussed that draft at the Rules Committee meeting yesterday. We called a special meeting of the Rules Committee, and the committee approved the revised draft, and that was sent out last night. So from my perspective, overall, the language has been tightened up, clarity has been added in different places, and we're just hoping to move that forward tonight again with this vote. And so it can be sent to the DOJ and the monitoring team for review as soon as possible. So that's my summary.
Thank you. Commissioner Benito?
I also, I just wanted to make it clear that, that this internal work group was at the request of the Department of Justice prior to them receiving the manual. So this wasn't something that we just did on our own. It was the Department of Justice said, before we look at it, we want to make sure that these people look at it and give their feedback as well. So it was a requirement of us before we're able to submit it to the Department of Justice, which is a requirement for us because officer discipline does fall under the consent decree.
Thank you. Commissioner Wong?
Just a question. Commissioner Bailey, can you give instead of telling us who was involved, can you give us a kind of content summary of what was changed? This draft, I want to say for the record, when we were meeting in June, I mean, this has changed from the first draft, not significantly. Mr. Mordew and I had about 100 comments and suggestions. They're still not changed in this draft, and it's not about us getting our way. This is a very flawed draft. There are open, like, for example, error about Garrity, and I can't believe it wasn't found. But my concern is, I do want to say for the record that, I do want to say for the record that this draft, there was supposed to be a joint meeting of the Accountability and the Rules Committee yesterday. Somehow, accountability was excluded from that meeting, which meaning not just...
Correction, there was no exclusion.
I have the email that says it, that by the co-chairs, it says, by the co-chairs, accountability, this is a Rules Committee only meeting. I can post it, that's the email there. My concern is not, you may not appreciate my comments and Mr. Mordew's comments, but I'm hoping that you will appreciate Mr. Chura's input. My general problem with this draft is that it is so imbalanced towards the officer that barely the petitioner is even mentioned in this. There is an open violation of 115.5, the spirit and the letter of 115.5 in this. And given the fact that there were substantial changes, because we can't see it on this draft, but there were substantial changes made since the last time, and it required, and no offense to you, but 26 minutes of discussion yesterday about this draft, and we get it at 8:30. And I'm not, I hope it's known, this is not about me trying to get my way about this draft. This is a flawed draft. I actually have another draft, and I will compliment this draft that it mentions certain things that I had not thought about. But for example, you're giving the officer the ability to have counsel and a brief, but you're not giving that to the petitioner. The first thing you must do when you build a system is not to build, kind of put the beads out, lay it out. It's to balance the power. There's no consideration how certain commissioners can, I'm assuming it's a majority vote, whether we reject or push forward a petition. Well, that can be easily hijacked by a majority of people. I've researched how the Supreme Court deals with this, and I've written it into a new process. So what I don't understand is this should not.
Time. Thank you very much,
This should not be
Commissioner.
passed, and
Time.
we will be legally responsible
Thank you very,
for
Commissioner
this
Wong.
draft.
Thank you very much. Is there any other commission? Thank you.
I just had a question. I know that thank you, Commissioner Benito, that the DOJ requested that meeting. I guess my question is, after the DOJ requested that meeting, how come we did not ask outside attorney or someone outside of the city that may represent our best interests, maybe even Attorney Wallach or someone else, to look at it after that DOJ request?
My response to that would be that it still has to go to the Department of Justice.
They're not our attorney, though.
Okay, I hear what you're, okay.
Martin is.
I'm just telling you that that's the process, that it will be going to the Department of Justice.
And so I guess my concern is, I think Martin, and I think many members of the city are welfare. I absolutely agree with that. My concern is, especially even looking at like NACO and other citizen-led boards that are similar, because none are exactly like us. I have concerns that the final revisions that were made by the organizations that preemptively is the reason we have like this issue with the city. I know it's not final. I understand that the DOJ has to look at it. I understand that the DOJ represents, in this case, the interest of the people and the consent decree. My only concern is Commissioner Wayne went out and found an attorney that she had a relationship with who already had reviewed it. Those changes have been made, and that us as a commission, even after the DOJ, that work group looked at it, we did not only not follow up with that attorney, but we didn't follow up with any other attorney, or we did not compare it with any other evidentiary hearing manual throughout the country. Because there are certain things in here that I just have more questions about, because it doesn't even allow for certain things around public. I think it's very restrictive. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if it is for a legal reason or not, but I just feel, and I know we need to get this passed so we can see and hear cases. I'm just concerned that after the city gave their input by the request of the DOJ, and I know the DOJ has to look at it, there wasn't an intermediate group or attorney that had a chance to look at it before then, or community.
Commissioner Benito. I'm sorry, Commissioner Van Leer.
So there's a lot of conversation here. I'm just going back to the minutes to look at the vote. So we voted on June 1st to pass this, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, it passed, I I don't know that there were any votes against it, to be honest. And this version from the June 1st version has not changed dramatically. Some of the language has been tightened up, some timelines added. Really not a lot of substantive changes. I will say that this has been discussed in public a number of times. I know it's hard to get community involved in conversations on this. The lawyer that Commissioner Wong mentions was involved in a very deep discussion, and we did take into account those suggestions. It was the new version that was passed by this commission in full at our last meeting was based up in large part around that one meeting, a public meeting that was with accountability and rules together, and it was a very productive and thorough meeting. So I think we have here a pretty solid document. Again, since June 1st when we voted to approve this, the changes are not dramatic. So some of the changes really at a high level, a lot of it was changing some language, adding some timelines, clarifying what our process, what our role is in the review, and clarifying that, and the role of the executive director, for example. In one section, we had language that said that the executive director was to provide recommendations, and we changed that to really providing a list of possible decisions. So it's not like there's recommendations coming from the ED, rather, here's what's in your purview. So that we extended the length of briefs that can be submitted and a process for that. And the agenda for hearings was tightened up. Again, I don't see major changes here. I think it's tightened up some language and getting it, ready for the next step. So
And I do want to add to that. At any point in time in the past or in the future, if a commissioner has a concern or a question, they could email, call, reach out to the chair of rules and have it addressed. Also, if any community member wanted to give feedback, all of our contact information is publicly available to them. They could reach out to the rules committee to give their input. We have office hours Monday from 4:30 to 5:30. If a community member wanted to talk about the hearing manual, they could come during that time, give their feedback during that time, come to a rules committee meeting, give their opinion during that time while it's being publicly discussed. I just wanted to add that point. Commissioner Benito? A community member can start a work group.
So, one of the points that was brought up by Commissioner Garrett Ferguson was that that we didn't have an attorney that looked at the draft. I just would like to clarify that Martin is our attorney, and Martin was part of that process and also created the draft after those meetings based on feedback and then through conversation with members of the Rules and Accountability Committee. So what I know that Commissioner Wong is going to say that Martin is in conflict on this topic. Okay, I will say in the past, Commissioner Wong has said that Martin shouldn't work on the evidentiary hearing draft. That has been said many times publicly. And I just would like to make clear that Martin was hired to be our attorney, to look out for our interests. We are his clients. So in drafting and revising the evidentiary hearing manual, he is considering what are the goals of the commission, how do we protect the commission, and also how do we uphold Charter 115.5, which gives us our powers. So the idea and some of the argument that has been made is that because he is a part of the law department, which I think we all kind of stand in slightly different places on this issue, that he then would somehow be compromised in that way. And I would just like to remind everybody, he works in the contract department half-time and half-time here. The contract department is just executing a number of different contracts for the city. He doesn't touch anything related to public service, public safety, sorry, as part of that contract job. So I just really would like to make clear that our attorney did look at it in terms of we have not found Martin to be in conflict on this issue. So we as a commission have not found Martin to be in conflict on this issue. So the idea that our attorney, that our interests were not represented, I wouldn't agree with. And also, Martin, as part of drafting the initial draft that, or the initial version that was passed by the full commission, did extensive research, as also part of extensive revisions that were made. And so, I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Jason?
Thank you, Commissioner Benito, for reminding everybody here, your staff works for you, and we represent your interests. So I just want to put something on the table here. I was myself skeptical of having a feedback group that consisted of the people who are in this. And I just crossed my 7-year mark in June. In all the time I've been here, I've never seen a more positive, productive, everybody wanting this to be the best it can be meeting ever. And we had some real experts on this stuff, right? So, we've heard people say, well, this is wrong with Garrity. I don't know someone who is more informed on the issue of Garrity than Mr. Christopher Villan, who's the current, not a sworn officer. He is the superintendent of internal affairs, and he was in the room helping us make sure that Garrity is covered, right? So the idea that there wasn't expertise and there was people in that room trying to cut this down to benefit themselves is a falsehood. This was some of the best minds that this city has employed working on this consent decree process that Dr. Anderson put together to help us have the best hearing procedure we can have. All of them want us to succeed in this room for this meeting. They wanted the goal for us to have an outstanding procedure that had the least amount of legal problems possible. And I was skeptical about it, but at the end I'm like, you know what? They made this better than we could have in a vacuum. And so I just want to say that the idea that these people were meaning to cut this down or put loopholes in here or make it so that police can go through this process with a leg up is incorrect. In fact, the division was there, and you know what? They chose to remain silent and said, we got invited to this, but we're not going to comment on this, really. We don't have a stake in this. But we had some great minds in there, and I'm thankful for the process. I'm thankful to Dr. Anderson for taking the lead to help make this better. And I really just want to say that's been my experience. Rarely has it been that way, but I was exceptionally impressed with the amount of people who wanted to make this work and make it better for you all in that room. So,
Greg?
This is really frustrating for me because every single meeting, we go over the rules at the beginning of the meeting. My fellow commissioners and the public just ignore them. People just talk out of turn. People go over their time. Everything. That's frustrating. I want to move for a vote.
Commissioner Early?
Thank you to the commissioners that worked on this. Good work. Question is, did I miss the date that this has to be available for the DOJ? Just whenever we decide? It's not a set date? Okay, thank you.
I literally just had a few clarifying questions because I think most of what I wanted to know was answered. There's a part here that just says dismiss and reviews prior to requesting full case files. I would like some clarity on what that part meant. Yes, it is. It's on actually the first page under 2.6.2, and it says dismissing reviews prior to requesting full case files. And then I wanted to know, is there a reason why, and anyone can explain it, why there's no section that deals with public input or maybe a work group, but there just seems like there's no avenue for public to be a part of the hearing. So those are just my last two questions.
Oh.
Yeah, I can answer those questions to the chair, to the commissioner. So in terms of dismissing reviews prior to requesting full case files, it was just a change in language. That was already in there in the vote, and in the, on the June 1st meeting, which you voted in favor of it, actually. That was already in there, it's just a change of language.
Well,
It had
how-
said, excuse me, it said as long as case files have not been requested, it just really tweaked the language to make it more clear. So I don't think that's,
Can you repeat what it said prior?
well, you have the same copy I do. It says deleted as long as case files have not been requested. And so this says, instead, says dismissing reviews prior to requesting full case files. So it's just a different language. So the other piece, public input. I mean, there is, in the hearing process, there is a public comment period. So I'm not sure if that addresses the commissioner's question. But, and again, this is not that different from the unanimous vote that approved it back in June.
Thank you.
Or earlier this month.
So I'm going to quickly address these issues. To Commissioner Benito's point, yes, Martin's topic that he changes, he can change topics of his legal work, but he doesn't change his master, and he has two masters, the city and the commission, and he has to be divided. So it is a open, in most law firms, if they have.
Commissioner Wong, please.
But I'm talking about the draft. No.
Refrain from making negative comments.
That's not a
of-
negative
yes, it is.
comment.
Saying someone has a master.
That's
I
his
would-
master.
you know what?
He has two
Listen.
bosses. All right, he has two bosses.
You know what?
The commission.
I'm sorry.
the commission-
I'm going to stop this.
I'm gonna talk
and
about
I'm
the
gonna
draft
I'm
now.
going to call for the vote.
No, I
I'm
want to
going
make a
call for the-
motion. I'm making a motion
You
to
can-
table this. This is a terrible draft. It is in violation of the charter. The charter says that we can
Commissioner Wong,
intervene
you
at
are
any
out of
point.
order.
You are all
I'm going to move
criminally
forward with the
negligent
vote.
for putting this draft
Okay,
forward.
well, thank you.
Jason, no, you will all be, I will testify that you all
Just
voted
vote
for
against it.
something.
Just vote
Oh,
against
no,
it.
because I don't want to go, I don't want to,
You just
I
won't
don't
vote.
want to go into court and have to like defend this. This
You're
is a,
on the record
this
for
is,
voting no. Just
no,
vote
this
no.
is, but I will still be part of the commission. I don't want to be involved
Point
in
of
the hearing
order.
process.
Point of order, Commissioner Wong. You
This
are out
is-
of order.
You, I
You're
will,
out of
I
order,
have
Commissioner
another
Wong. You
draft.
have to-
I'm making a motion to
You are
table this
speaking
and
out
do,
of-
and
you
to,
are-
no.
You're not being
You are not
acknowledged to
going to
speak.
insult the community in
You
this
are not
way.
being
They are
acknowledged
not
to speak. You are out
represented
of
in this
order.
system at all. They are
You are
not
out of order,
represented.
Commissioner Wong, please.
You do not give the same rights to the community, to the petitioner, as you do. It is clear there. Mr. Mordew has mentioned it multiple times.
I call this meeting to order.
You
Commissioner-
you're just failing in your duty to the community right now.
We are going to call the
You're
vote.
not, tell me why you do not give the petitioner the same rights as the officer. Tell me why you limit questions to two, so you cannot do
Co-Chair
any
Adams?
cross-examination. Tell me why he gets to determine which
Commissioner
cases we
Benito?
see.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura?
No, Jim, don't do it.
Oh, really? Sometimes
No, he knows, because it's bad. It's a
Commissioner
bad draft.
Donaldson?
Abstain.
Commissioner Early?
Aye.
Commissioner Gare Ferguson?
Well, she's, bathroom.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong?
No?
And I vote yes.
Give Gary Ferguson.
We need 9 on this, so wait till Alana gets back.
No, it's a rule change, you need 9.
We need 9.
I would like to say something for the record that
No.
I
Commissioner-
have.
Commissioner
no.
Wong, no, I'm not acknowledging you
You
to
have
speak. You're
not
not
corrected it, then
recognized.
you can remove me from the meeting, but I'm saying for
You
the
are not
record,
recognized
I
to
have
speak,
a
Commissioner
draft. You are spreading
I
a
asked you
rumor
to
that I
submit
do
that
not have this
draft, and
draft.
you did not.
Let the two drafts
Please
compete
submit
with
the
each
dra-
other.
Can you please submit
Let
the
the
draft
two
that you
drafts
have then?
compete.
I'm asking you to, I asked you earlier today to share the draft with me. You did not.
I do not, because you're going to give it to Jason and he's going to delegitimize it. We
You
should have a
can't say what
discussion
I would
of the
do.
drafts. I was on vacation and that's why this was voted through. We're
Saying
waiting
point
for
of
it.
order does nothing. She keeps talking when you say point of order.
her go. You're gonna be mad, but I'm trying to help you. Just let her go.
You are all responsible for this is the only process that will be legally scrutinized to the nth degree. I'm trying to tell you that this is a bad process.
Commissioner Wong, you are out of order. If
I'm
you
not out of
continue,
order.
I'm going to
Then-
put forth a motion to remove you from this meeting.
fine, remove me, then you have to physically remove me, because I'm going to defend the community's rights on this
To the chairs,
motion.
to the chairs. If we can't get control of this, I'm gonna leave. I don't know if I.
This is not about me
anybody
making
else,
a
but I'm
scene.
not gonna sit
Rosie,
through
you
this.
haven't even read this draft. Please don't address me. Please don't address me. It is not about following the rules. The rules are stacked against certain people. The rules are stacked against officers. The rules are stacked against the community. This draft will allow whoever wants to make sure that there's a particular outcome, that they get that outcome. That is not fair to the officers. That is not fair to the community. I am not responsible for this draft. You guys all are. And you guys can go in front of a court when they sue us for this process. Okay? Oh, you okay? Let's go. Okay, you're okay. Let's go in front of a court. You knowingly make this.
I know. So I'm just gonna I need to go right back outside. I'm sorry. My vote is no, but I'm not right back for the rest of the movie.
Not pass.
I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
All right, so all that means is the previous draft is the draft that goes to the DOJ. So you voted on a draft that was an older version of the draft to move forward to the DOJ. Just so as everyone is aware, this commission already moved
I make a motion that we do not move the previous draft to the DOJ. I will present my draft. I've complimented this draft for its content, and we will have a better draft from the combined efforts. How about that?
Why?
Let's have
Just
a
because
work
it's
group.
your draft?
Let's have the community here. Let's have lawyers here that are actually defense attorneys that work outside of the city ecosystem. And Mr. Goodrich is not telling the truth.
Commissioner Wong, you are out of order.
Then I guess I'm
Y'all
out
call
of
me
order,
when y'all get her under
Sharina.
control.
I guess I'm out of order. Do something about it, because you know what? This draft is out of order. This commission is out of order. All of the actions of this commission will be scrutinized. I really do not want to be sued, but apparently Greg wants to be sued. He's fine with it.
Okay, so we are gonna move
I
on
made
to
a motion.
the. We are
Do I
going
have
to.
a second? I made a motion. Do I have a second? We are going to not send that first draft.
Can you
because
please stop talking so that we can see if we have a second or not?
Okay.
So to the chair, just a point of clarification.
Don't even.
To change a rule, so this is a rule, right? So let's look at what our rules say. You cannot change the previous rule that was adopted without it going through committee first. So Terry's motion would be out of order per our rules.
No.
Because what you adopted at the last meeting was a rule change. If you look at our rules, the only way to
then-
change a rule is it first has to be read in committee. Then when it's adopted
I'm not
by the
changing
full
the rule.
commission, you're saying that
I'm saying the rule cannot be sent, this draft should not be sent to the DOJ. That is all I'm saying. I'm not changing the rule. This could be our rule right now, but it's not been approved.
rule
So
has
go,
been made
what are you
official
afraid
by
of?
this
What are
committee.
you
Call
afraid
the
of
meeting
with
to
my
order. Is there a
draft?
second or not?
Is there a second? Because all we're
There's
doing
no
is look at a
second. Let's move
potential
on.
draft.
Okay,
You
so
wanna
there's
look at
no
the draft?
second. There's no second for the
So
motion.
you don't want to look at a
There's
better
no,
draft.
Please,
you just want to go
call-
forward with this mediocrity
You're
and
out of
actually
order,
possibly
Commissioner Wong. You're out of
unlawfulness.
order.
I guess I am out of order because I'm pretty pissed off that you are doing this to the community
Okay,
and to the
so
officers.
we are going to move on to the next committee report, which is the Accountability Committee.
Hello, everybody. Unfortunately, we were not able to have an accountability committee meeting this month because it was disrupted by
Oh,
Commissioner
please,
Wong.
please. No, that is.
No. But the meeting has been rescheduled for next Wednesday.
You are slandering me on public record. I didn't disrupt the meeting.
Point
The
of
meeting
order,
didn't start.
Commissioner Wong, you cannot,
So
you have not
please,
been acknowledged.
and
You cannot speak to
No,
Commissioner Benito.
I'm sorry. You called the police because you didn't want me to speak during the
Commissioner Wong,
meeting.
you are
That is a
speaking out of
First
turn.
Amendment violation. Please do
You
not.
should just-
I would let you speak except that you keep slandering me. I didn't disrupt the meeting. If you think disagreement with you is disruption, then probably you should not be on this commission.
So I would say I am a committee that has important business. Please, can we either,
Did you have to say that I was disrupting the meeting? You could just say you didn't have the meeting.
Okay. We did not have the meeting, and we didn't end up starting the meeting. And the meeting has been rescheduled for next Wednesday. We hope to be able to have the meeting at that time. The agenda stays the same from when we had planned and we had showed up for the meeting and we were ready to have the meeting. The agenda is staying the same, so if you are interested in what's going to be on the agenda, then you can look online. In addition, I am working to get a Brady Giggler work group meeting scheduled for the first 3 weeks of August. I'm waiting to hear back about available dates of the other work group members, and during that time we will be finalizing the rubric for Brady Giglio, and then devising and designing a test process to take disposition letters and test the rubric using those. So next meeting I should have more updates.
I have a question. I have a question, and the public deserves to know.
We're going to move forward to the
I'm
next.
sorry, you can't, we have a
Commissioner
question.
Van Lee, are you going to give the update on budgets and grants?
When I was,
Okay, we're
you're not
gonna
going to
move on.
recognize me.
No, I'm not
So
going to
the
recognize you.
But I have a right to be
Grants Committee,
recognized.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. You can't just,
No.
what
We've
is the
been
reason
moving
I
You've been
won't be
out of
recognized?
order multiple
It doesn't
times.
matter. The Brady Giglio group and the discipline work group, I want the public to know that when I was gone for 7 weeks after I was removed from committees, that Chandra Benito,
If you continue
Chair
to
Pro
disrupt
Tem,
this meeting, I'm
did
gonna
not
end the
have,
meeting. I'm
did
gonna
not
end the
have
meeting if you
any
continue to
meetings
disrupt
for
it.
that group. Did not have any
Terry, if you
meetings.
continue
No
to
work
disrupt
was
the meeting, I'm
done
going to
for
end
those
it.
committees. Then end the meeting. We're not really, we're not doing any work here. This is not substantive work.
Well, I got substantive work. Like, I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, I'm trying to get to my
committee?
substantive work.
Did it go through
So
committee?
the budget and
No,
grants,
it did. The budget and
I can
grants?
step in for the chair
Thank you.
of the committee. So yeah, we've been working, our main item that we've been working on is the grants management. We approved that at our last meeting to move forward with the United Black Fund as a manager of our grants program, and we're working with the city to sponsor that legislation, with the finance department to sponsor that legislation before city council, and it looks like that's going to be moving forward in August, and we are hopefully in good turn. You know, the UBF is already working internally to get things moving, so they'll be ready to roll once we have full council approval, which we need to, because a contract would be more than $50,000. So that's it. You know, that's moving forward. It's starting to loosen up, and as I think the executive director said earlier, so that's really it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Van Leer. We're going to move forward to the Performance and Evaluation Committee.
Thank you. So I'm going to provide like a little comprehensive update. You know, normally I say a sentence or two, but so the process includes a multi-step process. So step 1 is basically, the question was, should we what we should collect and how we should screen candidates in the short time allotted. So that main goal was developing a process which included conducting research, crafting a rubric, collecting documents such as resumes, discipline files from the division, and basically the committee was really learning what documents we should consider. One thing that we thought may be helpful was the performance evaluations. We thought it would have more information. Overall, it was numerical data. From that, we created a preliminary scoring, and basically we used the resumes, the use of force, and the discipline records for each candidate and scored them based on that rubric. Step 2 is a background check, and basically a concern arose from the community, and we want to ensure that that is respected and honored, and that helped to shape our process, but also helped to shape very important questions that the committee had to further consider. So legal, federal, state, or local regulations, including but not limited to Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Family Medical Leave Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act. The committee must never eliminate a candidate in a manner that will violate any of these ordinances, and just some logistical questions. So the situation presents a unique scenario given that most of our activities are public or live streamed. The committee considered the potential for the impact of commentary, documentation received, workplace environment within the process, and ensuring that the process is judicious to our candidates. As proposed in the policy, the committee believes that a firm is the best option to ensure that all the information received is within the confines of the legal requirements mentioned, relevant to the duties and to the position, and it presents a good faith effort to ensure impartiality. Some things to consider for the community interview. would be to ensure compliance with the various things that I mentioned, laws or regulations. The committee must pre-screen questions and seek counsel depending to ensure that the questions are within those bounds, right? Simply while crafting interview questions, the committee should ask itself, will the answers to these questions, if selected, have an impact on any kind of protected class? Is the information really needed to judge an applicant's competence or qualifications for the job in question? The commission, the committee must vote by majority on interview questions and should provide sufficient notice to solicit question recommendations from the public at its regular meetings preceding the live event. The committee will release the records it has created and collected throughout its review process on the commission's website for the public to access before the live event. When it is necessary to undertake this extensive process for so that was just a question that I was thinking to answer, is why is it necessary to undertake an extensive process for recommending a candidate for the police commander leadership position within the Cleveland Police Department? It takes a few unfortunate situations for lives to be lost, resulting in consent decrees, settlement agreements. Therefore, it's imperative that a comprehensive process exists for selecting leaderships. The stakes are too high for residents, officers, and the city of Cleveland to do otherwise. Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Yes. And I only want to add this, not in a combative way, but just because I think, because of some of the more high-profile cases recently in regards to policing, I believe that community might bring this up, so I just want to let community know. In regards to promotions, we had a very heated debate yesterday about how far back to go with police disciplinary records. And the timeline, I honestly cannot think off the top of my head what we decided. But I remember we did have a very extensive debate and conversation about how far back to go and what to include in the realm of police promotions. We acknowledge that this is not us hiring a police officer, that there is an opportunity for community to give their input, and that we want it to be fair and not put us in a situation that involved compromise with the union or put us in jeopardy of something like that, but to also make sure that we looked back far enough in a police officer's history that hopefully we would have enough information and would tell the firm that we hired to look far back enough so that if there were any concerns, we would be made aware of that prior to. So just because I know there's recent cases in the news, and that's something community might ask, the public comment, I just want to put it out there that we did have that conversation. You can go back and look at the meeting yesterday. You can ask any one of us who are on the committee for this additional questions, but I just wanted to preliminary say that was a big part of the conversation we had yesterday.
I think, sure. Did you have a question?
Through the chair, I just wondered if you guys are considering, we all live in the city. I think when you're interviewing, you should see if some of these candidates live in the city. I mean, if they want to be a real stakeholder, then they should be a stakeholder. They should be in the community, a member of our community.
So I guess the question is if the questions are not created yet, but we welcome you to submit that. So I guess, is that for the interview or are you asking for the firm?
I'm saying for interview process or even the rubric if necessary. There's now civil service gives extra points if you live in the city. So.
I had one question on the background checks. So for settle, it said that the eliminated items would include settled or dismissed. So would that mean if there was a if there was a case that was brought involving an officer and the city settled with that officer, then that wouldn't be considered as part of the background check? Or I guess I wasn't totally sure on what that meant.
So I'm gonna have you clarify because I don't have the document in front of me.
Yeah, so the policy is based on having things that were proven in a court of law be included and things that are self-evident be included, but things that were not are excluded because, you can only hold somebody to what they have been proven to have done. But if there are pieces of a settlement or there are like pieces of evidence in a case that are self-evident, they can be included based on the policy. So say, for example, somebody had in a court case a deposition, okay, and they admitted to wrongdoing in a deposition, but that case was later settled. We can include that case because they admitted to it under oath in a deposition. But you really have to be careful when you're navigating cases that have been settled because they could have been settled for a myriad of reasons.
I guess I'm not totally understanding. So let's say that an officer is involved in an incident and the incident results in a lawsuit with the city. And then the city settles it, makes a payment to the people that sued the city. Basically, from my reading of this, it would not include anything from that settlement in the background check.
Was that situation also disciplined administratively, or was it only brought under a civil suit? Because it doesn't exclude items that have been found administratively in your hypothetical.
Well, so I guess that is, yeah, I know it's kind of hard when you're dealing with hypotheticals, but also, I mean, if they are connected events, then would the settlement, so I guess, let's answer both. So if there is a case where there was officer discipline and there was also a settled lawsuit, would then they still be able to consider the officer discipline? And then if officer was not disciplined but there was a settled lawsuit, especially, when talking about previous cases, now I think that we don't know exactly how often officers were getting disciplined looking at cases, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So if an officer wasn't disciplined but was named in a lawsuit that was settled, I guess maybe answer both.
No, you're right. You're following the logic. So if there was an administrative case that was filed simultaneously and that case was upheld against that officer, that information would be included in what the law department would be disclosing to us in its disclosure of documents when we be requesting the discipline file. But if there was just a civil suit that was settled, no, it would not be included. Unless there was some sort of self-evident evidence that's in there or self-authenticating evidence in there that can't really be disputed. And we'd really have to figure out what the firm that is the third-party firm would be able to do for us on that, right? So you can't always get access to every single document that's included in evidence depending on what point a case was settled. And then you don't know why it was settled. So it's a really, really intricate process when you go through and look at actually what's in the docket for things.
I just want to clarify for the record because I do not want any of us to misspeak. As of 2009, we cannot require any city employee to live within the city bounds with the Ohio Supreme Court. So I just want to make sure, and I know, Commissioner, sure you were not asking in that framework. I just want to make sure on the record, we will not require anybody who works for Cleveland Police Department to have to live in the city of Cleveland because we do not want to violate the 2009 Ohio Supreme Court case that says it is illegal to force workers to live in the city in which they work.
I'm well aware of that. But in a in an interview situation, I think it behooves us to see if they don't live in the city, why not? Probably schools or something of that nature. But I think if they live in the city, they're a stakeholder, a true stakeholder.
Thank you. And and I apologize for my increase in emotion before, but however, any of our emotions should not be determining when we look at processes. I still maintain from the vote that we have a lot to work on that draft, but I had a question because I noticed that there was a lot of reference to disciplinary files and but it's not clear, you know, even when we ask the division for the full disciplinary file, there's many components on it. Can you explain what is being asked for specifically in the disciplinary file? And it's not a theoretical thing because I don't want to reveal the officer's name, but I received, and I think Mr. Goodrick received also the same concern from a public, a community member. Right, about an officer, and there was no follow-up from the committee. So I just want to know that that's not the issue. The issue is what is actually being requested because as you may know, and maybe Mr. Chair knows more, that there are things that we cannot see in the divisional notices, in the dispositional notices. There are things in the, for example, if I think an attorney makes a complaint not through the OPS track, not through the IA track, there might be a note of it there. So could you explain what disciplinary files mean and what level are you assessing the discipline at? And are you going to be able to work with maybe the accountability committee and the Brady Giglio group, which has probably more information about particular officers because they will have assessed their full file? Maybe that's a good way to collaborate, or is this going to be a separate assessment from the promotions committee that may not be as subject matter experts as the accountability committee on those things?
Thank you so much for your question. I think all committees have merit to them, and I would say that we may not want to partner with accountability because depending on the cases, that may be perceived as bias depending on what they have. So right now there is no partnership with accountability, but all the information was requested. I really don't have the exact documents. I apologize, I wasn't prepared for this question, but I can send it to you in email. I know that we have asked, I think it was in the May or June meeting about what documents was requested. Executive Director has followed up. I have did my due diligence to ask even Commander Carney, are these, do I have the access to all the files regarding discipline? So from my understanding, I have access to the discipline and use of force. So I appreciate your due diligence. I can provide further clarification on that.
So Executive Director Goodrick, through the chairs, was the full disciplinary file as we generally
yes,
know
full
it?
disciplinary files, lawsuits pending and closed. We have requested a ton of things about the commanders, which is why we are being stalled right now. So yes, they've been requested.
The reason why we're asking, because for the lawsuits, we're looking to hire a firm, right? So our goal is to do, step one is to review discipline, use of force. Step two, to do the background checks, which would include, you know, like a background check. We've been through a background check, as well as lawsuit, as well as social media. That was in the policy proposal, but I mean, I just mentioned that, as well as social media, similar to what we underwent. So the rationale is because we want to ensure wherever recommendation we make, we want to ensure that we do our due diligence and that we can provide just, you know, merit. So we reviewed discipline, we did a background search, we did a community interview.
Are you looking for a motion?
Yeah, so I'm going to be looking for a motion. I'm just trying to explain.
So we're voting on this document right now? Is that what the...
So I did a report, yes, but I am looking to put a motion so that we can move forward and hire a firm to do the background.
Oh, but we're not voting on this thing that you sent out?
Yes.
We are?
So I didn't put a formal motion yet. So I did just a quick overview because I sent it like a day. We had a meeting due to a miscommunication. That happens, right? And I sent it. So I just wanted to ensure that we read and that I provided key points.
So can you repeat? I'm sorry.
So I guess I will put a motion on the floor. I move that we adopt the, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it.
The promotion recommendation policy.
The promotion recommendation policy.
Is there a second?
We don't.
I'll second.
Discussion or debate?
Does the public have the copy of this? And if they don't, is it okay? Is it okay? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. I apologize. I didn't. I'm so sorry. Is there any way that we could possibly table it just to ensure that the public has a chance to read it and maybe bring it up for vote at the next meeting if that is possible?
I would say we either vote it up or down.
So not even tabling, just so the public can have a chance?
You can make a motion to table it.
You would have to make a motion.
Amendment.
Okay. So can I amend the motion that is on the table? That, well,
The motion's already.
because there's already a motion, so if there's already a motion, do I make an amendment or do I make another motion? I just make an amendment to table the motion for this, just so the public has a chance to look it over before we make a formal decision.
Is there a second?
I second for a slightly different reason, but I second it should be tabled.
Discussion or debate?
No, I want to mention that one of the things I have concerns, there's language concerns, and I understand that you worked very hard on it, but this, if I could just read this, this is one of the concerns. The committee may occasionally modify the rubric, but it must always remain considerate of the promotion requirements of the Department of Justice as placed on the city through its acceptance of the consent decree. So a lot of ambiguity there, a lot of,
So,
I mean, these are the things
Thank you.
that
I
are-
think that's a great point. The rationale is because
Yeah.
we understand that this is our first iteration of creating a rubric. There may, as we go along the process, it is our hope we continue to grow and we learn, and that we're not confined to this draft. Ideally, whatever information we learn, it grows, you develop, you modify.
I just wanted to add, I think for clarification on that point, I think that if you look at the paragraph in the consent decree that deals with promotions, they have items like A through H that they would like us to consider when making promotions. And the reason why that language is like that is because, for example, one of the things that's in the consent decree, the things are determine whether the officer is likely to be effective, appropriate. It says things like effective use of community problem-oriented policing strategies, the number of circumstances of use of force, and officer service to the FTO field training sergeant, disciplinary records, problem-solving skills, interpersonal skills, and pending whatever disciplinary process. So when the committee met, the committee said, well, even though these are the items that are in the consent decree that the federal government would like us to look at, we don't know how we can assess an officer's service in a FTO or field training sergeant. We don't know about maybe sometimes their problem-solving skills. We don't know about their interpersonal skills. And so that language was in there to say we're recognizing that we may not be able to consider all of these things, but it's like an ongoing process to try to get there. That was my understanding of it when that committee met.
So I want to clarify, is there actually a rubric attached to this? Is there like a numerical score sheet that you can show us? Because it's not attached
Well,
to
you know
this.
what? Let's, you've already
Yeah, so
spoken.
I'm saying that it's missing
We're
the
gonna move
actual.
forward with
Let's
the
just take
vote
the vote, y'all.
this is to potentially table this.
This is just...
Co-Chair Adams,
Aye. Oh, no.
Oh,
Nay.
the table.
Nay.
Commissioner Benito,
No.
Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson,
No.
Commissioner Early is not here, Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Nay.
Commissioner Reeves,
Nay.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
No.
Commissioner Van Leer,
No.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
and I vote no, so it won't be tabled.
It won't.
So they need to vote on the thing.
And I'm gonna-
So can we just move from
Okay, so we're going to move forward with the vote on the motion to approve promotions recommendations policy. Commissioner Adams?
Aye.
Commissioner Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Chura?
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson?
Abstain.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong?
No.
And I vote yes. It passes. Anything else?
Thank you.
Commissioner
That's the
Rodriguez?
conclusion of the report. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
We're going to move on to the Police Policy Committee. Report given by Commissioner Pete Van Leer.
So there's nothing really to report here. Our last meeting was prematurely adjourned due to disruption, so
Okay.
nothing there.
Outreach Committee, report given by Commissioner Kate Kennedy.
Hi everyone, not the chair, just a member. Two things to report. The first thing is that we're able now, I should say, to start meeting again. So the outreach committee is going to huddle up and pick a date to start our meetings once again. Secondly, we have a firm that expressed interest in our RFQ. I've reached out to them and just am waiting to hear back. So I'm hopeful that by excuse me, I should say what the RFQ is for. The RFQ is for the community survey that the outreach committee has been working on. I've reached out to the firm in question, and I am hopeful that by the next meeting, I'll be able to have an update on a proposed plan from them. Thank you.
August 17th, Saturday, from 12 to 4, Tourism Employment is having a block party, and they're going to have resource tables, and I signed us up for a resource table. I won't be able to represent the commission because I'll be at work, but anybody, any commissioners that want to come sit at the table, it'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna-
will send out the flyer to everybody.
Okay, thank you. And we hopefully will have our outreach staff person by then. Okay. Police Training Committee, Charles Donaldson.
Hello, good evening, everyone. First thing is that the reality-based scenario training community event will be on Saturday, August 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Garrett Morgan High School. We will be promoting that event further, so I just wanted to announce that and also remind everyone that this is the same event that was held in December of last year, so we're just doing it again with some potentially different scenarios. Second thing is that I did send an email to the commissioners on July 10th with the in-service internal specialized CIT training. So I would like to put a motion forth to approve that training so that it can be moved forward to the Department of Justice and the monitoring team for review and comments.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, discussion, debate.
The one thing I want to say about this particular training is that it will, if approved tonight, it will move forward to the Department of Justice and monitoring team for review and comments. And then after their input is received, it will come back to the Police Training Committee for another review, and then it will then move forward from there. So if there are any suggestions, edits, my decision would be for us to work on that while we're also allowing it to move forward, just so we can simultaneously do those things and not preventing it from move forward. But yeah, that's the only thing I want to add.
Thank you. Commissioner Wong.
And thank you for, I've asked Commissioner Donaldson some questions about this that may not be 100% related. I support this moving forward. Could you explain maybe, because we're getting all these things in different components, and when we had attended CIT training, there was this component for scenarios that was very important, and many of the officers said they would like more scenarios because that practicum experience is really important. Can you maybe just give us a broad overview about how this training matches the other ones, and when will we be able to, are we able to assess maybe not like the quality or the content of that scenario, but at least the frequency and how that pedagogy works. Is there anything in the future in the pipeline for this?
So to answer the question about assessing, nothing that I'm aware of in the future, but I do know that we have a really great working relationship with the training section. So they're open to whatever we suggest. So I do think that that's important for us to assess and determine, if the trainings are effective. So I agree with you on that 100%. And we've actually talked about that before in our committee meetings. And then as far as your other question with scenarios, so this particular training did not have a scenario attached to it, but like I said to you in the email, there are other scenarios that are based on mental health, which was the overall umbrella of this training. I would love to hear your suggestions about how we could maybe incorporate scenarios with this particular training, because I think it's important for us to address that. And maybe even at the August event, it's something that we could have them present or, maybe start to develop. But yes, I'm definitely open to whatever suggestions you have regarding scenarios that would be centered around psychological disorders. I think it's just really important for us to just know, exactly what that would look like, because I'm not sure how that would be presented as a scenario, but I think it can be done.
Just to follow up, if it's possible, if we can get the overall, like all of the curriculum in one descriptive, that would be helpful for us to know all the components that the training that the officer, maybe it exists already somewhere, but I haven't remember seeing it.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to answer that, but yes, I can get with Commander McGuth and get that to the entire commission.
Benito?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So this is an annual in-service for SCIT officers. So this is not part of the CIT curriculum. Yes, and so in terms of seeing the whole curriculum, do you mean seeing like the SCIT training plus all the years of different training? Because they choose different topics every year, and the topics are chosen based on MRAC. So it works with the Adams Board, or Adams Board is the head of the training committee on MRAC, works with, does a survey of officers on different topics that they would like to see covered, and then it goes to MRAC, and then this training is reviewed by MRAC, and then it is sent to the training review, then changes are made, and then it's sent to the training review committee, and then it comes to us. I will say that in terms of having scenarios for these particular trainings, I think it's very hard to have scenario-based training on specific diagnoses, because this training is about a set of psychiatric diagnoses, whereas a lot of the kind of scenario-based training regarding crisis intervention and behavioral health is more skill-based. So de-escalating skills, recognizing. Mostly the scenarios are about de-escalation and recognizing the signs of, and I think that in terms of personality disorders, it is not. I'm not sure that a scenario-based training would be particularly helpful there.
Commissioner Wong, you've spoken twice.
Yeah, for consideration of time, we have to move forward. So I think we should just move forward with the vote for this training. Okay, Co-Chair Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
And I vote yes. So it passes. Okay. Was that all, Commissioner Donaldson?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move forward to the ad hoc hiring committee. Commissioner Rodriguez?
Overall, there's just a job description that was sent, so I didn't create it. It was created in April 2023. So please review it and provide any comments that you may have. And just overall, the committee is exploring two options. Our RFP from like a state contract with Robert Half, depending on like the terms of conditions of the contract, and possibly creating a new RFP. Once this information is received, a meeting will be scheduled. So at the current moment, the following commissioners are on the committee: Benito, Reeves, Shura, and Commissioner Wong, potentially. So is that space open, or?
Well, I don't recognize the law. I'm happy to help you. Let's not get into that. I'm happy to help you work on it. To kind of exclude me from commission work means that I don't do
Okay.
any work at all. So if you're and Commissioner
we'll
Ridgway
see.
has also said that she will come back
Okay.
and help.
So there has been several meetings attempt. So we would like to schedule a meeting soon once we receive that information. That's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you very much. And does the ad hoc outside council committee have anything? No? Okay, there's no old business. We're gonna move forward to new business. Commissioner Wong, do you want to present the Wallach motion?
This normally would go under ad hoc council. I'm just going to read this quickly into the record. This is a motion to extend Attorney Mark Wallach's work on the Commission's records request. Whereas the Commission has outstanding unfulfilled records requests from the city, some that were made nearly 1 year ago. Whereas many of these records requests are necessary to fulfilling the Commission's charter mandated work on police accountability. Whereas on March 5th, 2024, the Commission voted to establish a conflict of interest with the city on the issue of records and named Mr. Mark Wallach as independent outside counsel on the issue of records. Whereas Mr. Mark Wallach has been excluded from meetings on the Commission's records request with the DOJ city and monitoring team, not intentionally, I'm just saying excluded, and the Commission has no legal representation or counsel at these meetings. Whereas on March 28, 2024, Mr. Mark Wallach issued a legal opinion to the Commission about its records request and related powers, whereas nearly 2 months have passed and no action has been taken by the Commission. Now, therefore, the Commission resolves as follows. Number 1, Mr. Mark Wallach will be added immediately to the meetings with the DOJ, I guess you have to request it, city and the monitoring team on the continuing issue of the Commission's records request. He will make necessary reports and updates to the entire Commission at his discretion. 2, the Commission will set a special meeting with Mr. Mark Wallach within 15 days to discuss further actions on the Commission's records request. An executive session may be used in the event of imminent legal action. So that is the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, debate.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to change the counsel that we use on this issue and start the process of getting new counsel. And
Can I ask a question to that? Will we have to put together another ad hoc?
Well, first, is there a second for the amendment?
Second.
Okay.
I just had a question. Will we have to put together another committee or a group of, because I think in the past, wasn't it Commissioner Chura, Commissioner Wong, Commissioner Ridgway?
That's not how that went.
Oh, okay. I just was wondering, like, how do we do
To
that?
look for, commissioners in general could suggest.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to be like a committee. Okay, that was my only question.
Commissioner Benito, what is the reason for removing Mr. Wallach as outside counsel on this when he has issued the legal opinion? Did you not like his legal opinion? There seems to be no basis for this. I do want to say for the record that I received a report from a community member, and they overheard a conversation with Mr. Goodrick instructing Mr. Martin Vilat on how to limit Mr. Mark Wallach's influence on, I'm sorry.
Commissioner.
What would you like?
Chair, that is not appropriate to
community-
allow
community
somebody
member
to
is here.
speak on
You're-
this
why-
behalf.
why are you
This is at least
changing-
the third time at this
why
meeting
are
where
you
my
changing-
name has been called
motion
out,
on the
and
floor.
this commission
I'm
refuses to
asking
address
what the
those
reason is
attacks
to
on me.
change Mr. Mark
So
Wallach.
I ask the chairs to
What is the
call
reason?
to order.
Commissioner Wong.
Okay, fine. We won't deal with the obvious observational information, but what is the reason that we are removing Mr. Mark Wallach, except that he is giving opinions that may not favor certain people's agenda on this commission? What is the reason? Are you dissatisfied with his work?
Okay, so we're in discussion. You have a comment?
I'll answer the question. My concern is that there have been numerous times that Commissioner Wong has called Wallach about issues related to, for example, being removed from committees, and also while sitting in meetings and arguing with commissioners. I have overheard her calling and talking to Mark Wallach. I've also heard reports of other people saying the same. And I think that it is concerning that an individual commissioner who's supposed to represent the entire commission is, soliciting that attorney for individual legal advice related to the commission. And also, given the amount of contention, with Commissioner Wong's behavior, I think that having the attorney relationship go so primarily through her, is, given that other context, I think is concerning.
I have a response. Mr. Wallach has given his cell phone number to every single member of this commission. I believe you're not present at the executive session that he did that, but he has this information. I call Mr. Wallach about things that it's not about impacting me, but impacting the commission, because there was an unlawful executive session happening. Mr. Wallach has never charged us for these things. He is our lawyer to protect us from legal liability. I'm not finished.
So you
Ms.
agree
Manita.
that you called him?
I do call him because you are in the midst of illegal, unlawful activity. Who am I supposed to call when Martin is unwilling to answer the question, when Martin is in multiple conflicts of interest? You are free to call him too. He's answered multiple questions for many, but the only person he said that has ever contacted him was Ms. Rodriguez from a long time ago. So I don't understand. If you want to have questions answered by him, he probably won't even charge the commission that relate to commission business. And my ability to serve on this commission is commission business. So your attempt to remove Mark Wallach is an attempt to control the commission for your purposes. There's no discussion.
Commissioner Wong, your volume.
There's no discussion as to, it's just innuendo. So you're basically removing Mark Wallach because he talks to me on the phone. You can talk to him on the phone too. What is the problem with Mr. Mark Wallach's work? That is what I'm asking. He is an exceptional attorney, and you are disadvantaging and harming the commission by not allowing one of the best municipal attorneys to represent us. And no offense, Martin, you're not a municipal attorney, and I believe that you're in a massive conflict of interest. This is another attempt to take over the commission because you have never criticized Mr. Mark Wallach's work. Is it true or not that every commissioner has the ability to contact him? I'm just the only one that's done so.
Point of order, we're going to recognize Commissioner Benito, and then we'll recognize Commissioner Rodriguez.
So given that we all have his cell phone,
and his email.
I would say that yes, we could all contact him. However, I think it would be inappropriate to contact.
Stop interrupting her.
You are conducting unlawful behavior. Don't even lecture me. You conducted unlawful behavior.
It would be inappropriate.
I'm trying to protect the commission from liability.
I'm gonna finish
All right,
speaking.
everyone, we're gonna make please, everyone stop. Everyone stop.
Going out of bounds.
We are going to move to adjourn this meeting. We gotta get out this meeting.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we don't have to, but we will. We'll move for public comment, and then we'll move to adjourn the meeting. Is it, well.
All right, well, let's just.
Who are you going to find?
Okay.
Can you
please just let us just get through this.
How are you going to find this person? Do you know how many lawyers are in conflict with the city because they work with the city?
And then we'll vote against this.
Okay, so my comment is that the process that we use to engage outside counsel is we say what the specific issue is in a vote of the full commission to engage Mark Wallach on that, or on our independent attorney on that particular issue. So to say that we could just call our independent attorney who has been engaged to address a specific issue and voted on by the full commission is incorrect. And so because of what Commissioner Wong is admitting that she herself did, that is my concern. If you disagree with me, you can vote no on the motion.
I want to note that if you re-engage counsel, they would have to redo the
So what is
work.
happening is we're about to
more.
vote on the motion to, we're amending the motion to include the replacing of Mark Wallach as our outside attorney. That is the motion that is on the floor. We're going to take a vote.
Co-Chair Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura.
Nay.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferguson.
Aye.
Ferguson. Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes, I would say I wanted to before, just so we know. Put that on the record.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Commissioner Wong.
Nay.
And I vote yes. It passes.
And also, just for clarity, we will have to
Fine,
follow
counsel.
up. We will have to follow up with, some legalities and things like that, but we'll get an update out to the commissioners.
So there's still a motion to find an attorney.
So
There's
the
still the
co-chairs
motion.
are running this meeting.
The motion's
So
still
the
live.
next motion on the table
No,
is.
you didn't finish the
was
previous motion to
I'm-
get outside counsel.
That's what we're trying to do, but you're interrupting. This
It's the same motion.
No, there was an amendment put on the table, so the
I
way
know,
that it
okay.
works is you vote on the amendment, and then you go back to the original motion, which is what we're doing right now.
So we had to amend this motion because you are.
We just amended it with the vote.
We'll do
No, we have to go add a process to find a municipal attorney that can.
Okay, we are gonna go.
I
with
vote
the
to
vote on the
table
motion.
this, I move to table
No, we're
this
just waiting-
motion
no,
until
we-
the next meeting.
Unbelievable. We're just waiting again on the records request. There are only a few municipal attorneys when I looked that were.
For the motion to table this until we figure out a process. Okay. Any discussion?
Well, you're just delaying
Okay.
suing on the
So I'll-
records
I'll
request.
Call the
Good
vote.
luck.
Commissioner Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson. Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Commissioner Wong.
No.
And I vote yes. It passes. Okay, we're gonna move on to public.
No, there's one more motion.
Oh, Wallach opinion.
Can we get a motion on the table to basically move the one item in new business over to the next meeting?
No, you're.
We're gonna table it. They can do that.
It's not equitable because then you have Mr. Griffin's opinion out there without Mr. Wallach's opinion or anybody else.
We're not using Mr. Wallach.
Not for, but no, it's a separate issue. We weren't using it for that
I
issue.
move to table
Like,
this
guys.
motion until the next
So
meeting.
you are not
Is there a
allowing the
second for
commission to
this
give an
motion?
independent
Second,
opinion.
and we move to public comment, please.
Is there another?
Very
One
clear.
second.
You're just
Commissioner
embarrassing
Adams?
yourself more and more.
Commissioner Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura. Commissioner Donaldson.
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
I'm gonna abstain.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Commissioner Wong.
No.
And I vote yes. We're gonna move to public comment.
Good evening, Police Commission. My name is Pastor Bunch of the Fifth Christian Church here in Cleveland, and I realized I should have got here early. And I do apologize for getting here late, but thank you for opening up this hour again for the public. We all just got back from vacation, including myself, and I see this is the normal energy this meeting has. But I do want to encourage you all that it's always good to have a little bit of fire burning somewhere. That means there's something on the move. I do want to encourage this commission to think about a resolution for Sonia Massey out of Springfield, Illinois, who was murdered by the Springfield, Illinois Police Department. Similar to George Floyd, the city of Cleveland did come out and say something profoundly about George Floyd's murder. And I think Sonia Massey's murder is consistent with what happened. And if the city of Cleveland cannot do it, then I think the police commission ought to say something about what that means for our city and the world. Independent counsel is something that you all spoke about tonight. I wasn't going to speak about it, but it is not alien to police commissions across this country. Akron, Ohio, as early as May of this year, has been saying that they need independent counsel because of the conflict of interest in that city. So something to look at, research. It may prove us favorable as we move forward in all of these powerful hearings that are coming up. The motions and meeting piece, on the last page, the additional decorum rules, there's a lot of enforceable language around how to remove a person from a meeting, commissioner at that. And I'm kind of concerned with that because that could mean we could be using police to arrest y'all. So you'd be arresting yourselves, and that's an interesting dilemma to put yourselves in when we're trying to bring a new paradigm of policing in this country, in this city. So something to reconsider. Restorative justice is something that people on the ground have been building out as an alternative to policing. I know there's a lot of fire in this meeting. I can tell people have been burned a lot. But what does it mean to deal with why we engage each other in these ways, right? Policing was brought into place to go after enslaved people. And then it was used to over-police black folks and people of color. And now if we bring policing to the accountability stage of policing, I think we're continuing something that we shouldn't continue, which means it does invite us to imagine or reimagine what it means to hold each other accountable. It doesn't always have to go through a policing lens. This background check for the recommendation for the commander, there's a loophole to that. Police have a loophole, and that's tattoos. And I would encourage you to look at tattoos on police officers. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Whoops. Hi, everybody. I'm Kayla. I once made a comment about the patriotism involved in constructively criticizing a body, that it is a patriotic act to tell something you support that it needs to do better. Now I fear that criticizing these commissioners, the commission's staff, and its supporters will feed right into the hands of the powerful people who don't want this commission to exist. It is my belief that the people who don't support this commission fall into one of three categories. One, some component of their authority has been taken away because of it, and democracy and accountability scares them. Two, they are being paid to speak against it. Or three, they are genuine people who have been given disinformation and don't have enough time to look into the situation for themselves. This commission must continue to exist with all of the powers afforded to it under Charter Section 115.5. It is incumbent upon Judge Oliver that he order the mayor to stop obstructing the duties of this commission laid out in the consent decree and the charter. One of these obstructive acts is his refusal to remove the commissioner he appointed, who is wreaking havoc and causing meetings to be canceled. This must be done immediately because Cleveland cannot wait. Wait for another 6 months for new commissioners to be seated, plus the time it will take them to get up and running on top of the 7 months that have already passed that he has been aware of this issue with evidence, to say nothing of nearly a year when the news covered her meddling in Tremont while police were trying to detain a dangerous suspect. There are issues beneath the surface that are not being addressed, such as there not being any work groups for the Rules Committee which would have provided input on tonight's evidentiary hearing manual. But all the energy in these rooms is sucked up by this one distraction. To be clear, those issues do not reach the level of needing to reconsider the existence of this commission, but they must be addressed, and I am very upset with each commissioner and the executive director for your contributions to those issues. I selfishly want to live in a community that represents my values. We have all just witnessed another brutal end to a life at the hands of a police officer in Illinois. A few weeks ago, we witnessed the brutal end of the life of an officer here in Cleveland and another in Euclid some months back. Police around the country are understaffed, and it's hard to know if these lives would have been spared if numbers were up, but maybe they would be. This commission is needed to provide safety to our community by holding officers accountable when they make the wrong choices, so that we can restore faith in our police and restore the respect they deserve, so officers can be proud to put on their uniforms and citizens can be encouraged to enlist. Anyone on the side of safety, law, and order should see this commission for what it is, a democratic body intended to keep us all safer. Thank you.
Alrighty, so we're at 8:30.
Y'all have to vote? Oh, okay. Oops. Hi, my name's Rosie Palfy. First of all, you all should have started tonight's meeting with a moment of silence to recognize Officer Jamison Ritter's ultimate sacrifice. And so kind of makes you question what your priorities are. As you can see, I made a new t-shirt, changed from remove Commissioner Wong to recall Mayor Bibb. Mayor Bibb clearly has no intentions of removing Commissioner Wong. He's afraid of an embarrassing hearing before City Council. And I say that because I was asked by the Human Resources Assistant Director in March to write a letter regarding a complaint of alleged discrimination committed by Commissioner Wong. And they have since hired an independent an independent investigator who has yet to contact me. We're almost in August, okay? That was April. And so, we hear a lot about the charter in these meetings. I would encourage the community to read sections 16 through 21 about removal procedure of the mayor or council member. And, hold on a second. It's not lost on people, the irony that Commissioner Wong refuses to follow any rules, and yet she's going to be allowed to determine whether an officer is disciplined or not because he or she allegedly did not follow rules. I mean, so it's clear to me that the mayor wants the commission to fail, and he's going to use this as an excuse to try to amend the commission as part of his re-election campaign. And finally, I want to say that on May 16th, Commissioner Benito, Kayla, and myself were asked to be interviewed privately as part of your internal investigation, okay? And what happened was Commissioner Wong threw a temper tantrum like a 2-year-old because she wasn't allowed to be in the meeting. And so what she did was she started getting in everybody's faces with her cell phone, recording people, and then she called Mark Wallach and asked him for legal advice. I have an audio recording of it. She knew she was being audio recorded. Dr. Adams, because he is the commissioner's attorney, okay? He is not your private attorney, and you were asking
Commissioner Wong, you are out of order. You cannot respond to the public during public comment.
So Terry, you're saying it's an unlawful. Okay, stop. Terry, this is my public comment, not yours. You've had 2.5 hours to speak and interrupt this meeting. First of all, I want to praise the staff and Martin Balat. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Does anybody actually think that Martin would have allowed a meeting to go forward if it was unlawful? No, he would not have. So, thank you.
Time. Thank you very much, Rosie. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Meeting's over, Lana. I'm sorry.